Oh, our featured speaker, Ishita. Welcome, Ishita. Excited to talk to you a little bit about your business. I guess we can take the slide off there and just put Ishita up there. So first, most important question, is it Ishita or Ishita?
You're asking me this question after 7, 8 years into the
I've
company.
asked you so I've heard people say it both ways, so it's really not for me. I, of course, know, but I want everyone else to make sure they have the correct pronunciation.
It's Ishita.
Ishita. Okay. That's
Yes. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm excited to be here. And again, this is the first time me doing it in front of so many people. So don't be too hard on me, Al, today.
We will
Just
not be hard on you at all. I'm actually really excited about this because, we've always had traditionally the biggest teams. You were thinking, the biggest number we can say if they're $100 million agent, that will attract people. But I think what might be more interesting to people, because it might seem more attainable, how do you build a big business if you aren't ready to build a team or you don't want to build a team? And you've done that. Built a huge business actually without having a team. So I'm excited to hear about that. So I guess, if you can start off just telling us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in real estate, a little bit about whatever numbers you want to share, what you did your first year in real estate, maybe what your best year was, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So this will be my seventh year into real estate. And before 7 years, I had just so let me go back. So I've been into this country only like 12 years. Okay. So I got married. I was in India. I came here. So it's only been 12 years. And out of that, only like 7 years is what I've done is real estate. So before my current business, I used to have a job in New York City. I have a background in designing, so I used to work in jewelry industry. So I've worked with Kate Spade, the Met Museum, and a couple of other different companies designing jewelry. But that life, back in the city was not something that really gave me that fulfillment in life. It was crazy hectic. It was like 80, 90 hour of job for the week. And in the end, I always felt like it was like a dead tunnel. My mind was not growing. So I'm very aggressive in a way in terms of where I want to go, what I want to learn. And there was no learning that was happening in my previous job. I felt like I was stuck and just
So
I
you
have
left that 90 hour a week job to come and do real estate, which is only 90 or 100 hours a week.
exactly. Exactly. Who knew back then? But then this is something different. Like you're doing it for yourself. You're doing with passion. There are different challenges every day, and there is always a goal that you set, and then you go for it, right? So it's a whole different world, which I thought it really matched my personality. So it came very easy with me. I blended in pretty well. So yeah, that's what I used to do. I just like one day I'll just share numbers because I think numbers is very important. It was literally 7 years ago. We had just bought our first home, and I had just gotten a job at Kate Spade. And I'll share the number. My salary was like $90,000 7, 8 years ago, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And we had just gotten the home, and as I said, I was done with it. Like I was done with that field. So I said, I'm quitting the job and I don't know what I'm doing. And I just left. And everybody back in family, my husband, they were all very upset as to like, what are you doing with your life? Like, why are you just quitting? But I was pretty sure that I didn't want to do what I was doing and I wanted to do something stronger, which is real estate. And there was no other option. So I went all in, dived deep into it. And first year of my real estate, I did $6.5 million in sales, followed by 15 million the next year. So that really helped me a lot to build that confidence that yes, this is the field for me and I'm going to continue this no matter what.
That's amazing. So, so that's sort of the history of it. So looking at this year, you've had a lot of success leading up to this year. There's been a lot of changes in the industry this year. Have any of the changes, Joyce is talking about having a mastermind about some of the changes. Has that changed your business, hurt it, or helped it in any way, or changed the way that you need to do business?
So I know there was a lot of conversations going about the NAR settlement, and everybody was panicking, tons of paperwork, new rules, regulations. Yes, it was going on for a long time. But I never really paid much attention to it in a way that I don't want to have that effect on my mind. I'm very good with like blocking things which I really don't want to focus on, rather do things which really, make sense. So I didn't really take that into my heart and my mind, and so it didn't really affect me. I knew that yes, with this new change, you'll have to learn new skills. You'll have to get better at certain things which you are kind of avoiding for a long time. So that was my whole goal. Like, okay, what are the things I need to do? My focus was only that. I need to know what are the new rules, what I can do to just learn that skill and get more business out of it. Because that's what I've learned throughout the years. Like with every change comes a new opportunity. With every change, there's always an opportunity to grow and to create your own separate business out of that. So that was only my focus. Yes, there are pushbacks that came your way. Yes, there were a lot of clients who just left. But at the same time, I also acquired more quality clients. So in a way, I would say, like, if you just think about overall, it really doesn't impact me at all. Because as I said, it's all about just showing your value, showing your worth. My buyer strategy session, my seller strategy sessions are pretty strong and powerful. Like I always work on them. And I ensure that value is very much communicated to them. So that way it stays the same. The business just grows and stays the same.
So I think it depends on your personality type, but there are a lot of agents who really get wrapped up in all these changes and follow every, minute change and really kind of get paralyzed by it. Do you have any advice for agents for how to get past that? Is it just to kind of, make sure you're doing everything by the letter of the law, but other than that, kind of block it out and just, business as usual, or what would you say?
So I would say, and I know we had talked about that, the mindset thing is what we're going to talk about also, which is the main thing. So I think it's all about what you really want to achieve in the end. So if you know that one goal, all the other things you will automatically kind of like block it off, right? So that's how I've always functioned. Like I know in the end, this is what my goal is, this is what I'm going to achieve. So whatever noise is there around me, I don't let it in. So that's the advice I will give it to anybody, because there will always be noise, there will always be disruptions, there will always be things that's not going to go well, because that's how life is. But then in the end, you always have to focus on what is really something that makes you wake up that morning, and what are you doing that day, that what is that one small step you're going to take to get closer to what what you want to achieve. So that's the only thing. You just have to be super clear in what you want, and everything else then becomes inconsequential.
That makes a lot of sense. And that kind of leads us into, when you and I talked a little bit about some of the things you could help with, we talked about how my experience with you is you always seem super positive and upbeat. And whenever I talk to people, they mention you, they talk about your mindset. So is that something that just comes naturally to you, or do you have to work on your mindset? And if you do, like, what do you do? Like, can you talk about mindset a little bit?
So no, it doesn't come naturally at all. It all started from day one. I got my license, right? So from day one, I've always been with Keller Williams Ridgewood office. And since I had left my previous job, my previous life, there was something that I wanted to prove to myself that, yes, I can do this. And so, just support the family in a way. So my mindset, no matter what, had to be stronger and had to match the destination that I wanted to go to. And I followed everything what Keller Williams taught me from day one. I was in the class every day for the first 4 months, took Ignite, took Bold, everything that the Keller Williams had to offer. I was always surrounding myself with all the cappers in the office. I shadowed them, I followed them. I would ask them can I listen to the conversation that you're having with your client? Can I listen to the conversation you're having with the inspector? So all these things really helped me to come up with my own mindset as to what I have to do or what I have to become that agent. And then eventually, I started creating, that mood board as to what I need to achieve every year. Your GPS, all those tools that really help me to keep my mindset very strong and, straight. So in terms of like routine, I do have a lot of affirmations that I say not only just in the morning, and now they're so much part of me that it happens automatically when I'm just walking in a day, So even when I'm talking to a client, some of the affirmations that I talk to myself in the morning or in the night, it just keeps on popping up. So I've always been that person who would take one thing very seriously and then just, it will keep on happening in the background. So those things, they really help. So that way, when if a deal falls through, or if there are any changes in the industry or something happens at home, it doesn't really get to me. Because I know, as I said, in the end.
How does that affirmation practice work? Is that something that you just thought of the things you were going to say, or you found it online, or is it an app? Like, and then at the beginning, were you looking at an app or something written down, and now you said they're memorized? Like, so since you do it every day successfully, it's probably seems simple. But if I'm an agent listening to this and saying, okay, affirmations work, where do I go to get them? Which ones do I use? How do I do it? So how do you get started with that?
For me, it all started with Bold, right? The first thing was Bold. That's when I got to know about affirmations. So in the Bold, they teach you a lot of affirmation. That's number one. Number two is whenever you go to any of our county office, there's affirmation wall everywhere in all the offices. So I do have some of the business affirmations from them, from Bold. And then there are these affirmations related to investments that I've learned from you, Al, from all the clinics that we do in the class, in the offices. There are the personal goals. So it's a combination of everything. So it's not just like one thing. You do have to submerge yourself 100% with the whole environment.
And do you have them like written down, or
I have written it down. Yes, I have it in my book. It's written down. I have it the same format. I have it on my laptop. So it's always in a tab.
do it at the same time every day? Like you get up and say, every day at 7 a.m., I'm going to read these, or?
Yes, every day when I wake up, I read them. Every day before sleeping, I read them. And in the middle of the day, when I feel I'm off, I'm not, it's not, the day is not going the way it should be going, or something's off, I go back to that and just go to that point, which brings me back to my right energy. So it's always there. It's in my room. It's in my book. It's the same one because I prepare it every year at the end of the year. And I make sure I have enough printouts. So it's everywhere in my house. It's everywhere where I go. It's on my phone. It's on my laptop. It's everywhere.
That's really cool. Do you have any other sort of like self-improvement or mindset rituals that you do? Like, are you listening to podcasts or meditating or doing cold plunges or any kind of rituals that you do?
I don't. So it's, how Keller Williams teaches us, even Gary Keller always says it's the God family business.
Yeah.
So that's how I am. So I'm very religious. I pray every morning. So that is one ritual that I've been doing it from like years since I know. So that really helps me to stabilize a lot of the things that I see, I hear, and I implement. So religious thing is the main thing that keeps me grounded, connected, and affirmations help me with those strengths. So I don't do anything crazy. Like, it's not as difficult. It's very simple. Like, you don't need a million things. You just need one or two things, and then you do it with 100%, and it just works. Like, you really don't need a million things at all.
Okay, awesome. So that's kind of high level. Let's get a little more specific. I know you've built your business a lot by referrals. So can you talk about how you generate client referrals?
Yeah, so yes, so it's a combination of referral and the marketing. I do have a certain target buyers that I work with, and they are young professionals who are renting, right? And they always have a huge circle of friends and family. So, and I know that. So I'm very intentional with one lead I get from one person, because I know that one person is worth 6 or 7 other people. So that I know going in that, yes, that's my goal, to achieve that one person, because that will eventually give me multiple businesses. So with that mindset, I put in more work and effort, so that from when they start until they close, I'm already always getting like either 1 or 2 deals right away. And it keeps on growing consistently over the years. Like every year I would get like another 1 or 2, which are like solid leads, and they close like in the next few months. So that's what I realized early on, that all the young professionals that I'm working with, that's what they come up with. That's their package. So I've made sure that I really capture them and I materialize them.
What I hear you saying is you're providing great service to these clients and then they're referring. But I think every agent would say, I provide great service and they're not getting the amount of referrals that you're getting. So what are some things that you think you might be doing differently or better or more frequently that's enabling you to be so successful with the referrals?
So I'm very honest and upfront with them, like extremely honest. My feedback is very blunt. I tell them, because like most of the time they're first time home buyers. So it starts with the very first thing I do is the success buyer strategy session, which is like a buyer's presentation, but you never say that. You always say the success buyer strategy session. So they are impressed just by that. So that is a one more main thing I do, and I show my expertise in that presentation. From that point on, I'm very honest, upfront, blunt about inspections, which property are really good, which are really not good. So it's just all about being very transparent with them, and that really connects with them. I've never been too professional with anybody, because that's not my cup of tea. So I think just being very transparent is what has helped me to get all these constant referrals.
And can you talk more about that buyer success meeting? Where do you do it? A little bit about what it entails.
So it's all about that buyer presentation. You go over, what are what are the steps of home buying process? What do we offer as Keller Williams? Like there's a huge army of professionals, which is we have in-house, we have movers and we have title companies, attorneys. So showing that portion, how do we search on homes? What happens in inspection? What kind of inspections are there? Just everything, whatever we do to get a buyer, like in the process, that's exactly what I go through. But it's more strategically placed in a presentation, which I keep on improving based on the questions I get asked over the years. And I always do it in person. That's the first preference. For that, if I have to go 2 hours drive, I would go there. But I always prefer to do it on person. And worst case, if in person is not possible, then I do it on Zoom. But I would like to meet them for a coffee. If they're close by, I meet in the office, but it has to be in person for me. So I do that for every buyer, no matter what.
Are all of these presentations with somebody that's referred by someone else, or sometimes is it like an internet generated lead or marketing generated lead?
So most of them are referred. So they already know me. They've done the research on me. They've checked me on YouTube. They've checked me on Instagram. So that checking has already been done. So they do have that little bit of trust with me.
Okay.
But still, I would want to take that trust to another level, and I would still do that session with them. And many of the times when I do get leads from Instagram and YouTube, I would do the same thing with them.
Yeah. One thing that's come up a few times in talking to agents about that first buyer presentation and people training them saying, the best thing to do is, meet them at the house, go do it at the house. Do you bring somebody with you? Are you concerned as a woman showing up to someone's house that you haven't met before, or how does that work?
So if it's an unknown, like if it's a new lead that I've never met, I would never go to their house. I would call them in a coffee shop, or I'll call them in my office.
Okay.
But if I know somebody who is referred and who's a best friend of a friend, then sure, I would go. But I don't prefer house setting at all because it just gets very, I don't like house setting. I would rather meet in a coffee shop or
Okay. So
office.
more often it's in a coffee shop or the office rather than their house.
Yes, absolutely.
So I have a bunch more questions for you, but like I said at the outset, I'd love to make this more interactive. So we have somebody here who's built a huge, business based on referrals, KW models, does a lot of cool things. Do any of you out there have some questions that you want to ask Ishita? If not, I'll just keep going.
I just
And
wanted to say something.
Oh, hi, Colleen.
no comments, just questions, Colleen.
Well, it's sort of like,
kidding.
actually, it's a comment because
I'm
I
just
think it has to be revisited. When we were listening to how she got started, I loved that, and I wasn't in the office when you were here, but it sounded to me that you didn't wait for anybody to come and get you and say, okay, let's do this with you, that you went after the people that you wanted to model yourself after.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
You know what I was thinking when she was telling that story? It's a similar story, change a couple of things. It sounds like the story, Zohar's story, a little bit, becoming so successful after so quickly and after being here such a short time. I think that's really amazing and impressive for both of you. Anyone who's not Colleen have a question or comment? Somebody must. You don't want to learn how to grow a big business? All right. Well, if you change your mind, just pipe in, put in the chat or unmute. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, I think the fastest way to a big business, there's a lot of ways, but, people have succeeded before us, in modeling on what other successful people have done. And I know you're big on, and you talked a little bit about it, but specifically the KW models, how are you with those? Are you following the MREA? Do you have some specific models that you've learned that have worked for you? And if so, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so yes, I do follow many of the Keller Williams model. So the economic model is what I'm really a big fan of. So me and my husband, we both do it together, right? So we want to make sure our expenses are where they should be. So the economic model plays a very important role in my business for sure. And I don't want to talk about Keller Williams, but then, you guys, but still that's always so connected with me. And that's the only way I've learned to do business is because I always see how you guys are doing the business, like partnering up with a lot of other businesses to grow your business and your business. And that's one thing I've really learned. And, that has really surprised me in a great way. So I do the same, like I partner up with a lot of other small businesses. So overall, I would just say like the tech part, the economic model part, and lead generation part, that's the most important thing. Like I've done all the things getting out of my comfort zone to get the businesses, whether it was door knocking, I've done it, putting 200 flyers, I've done it. Like every single thing that has been taught in terms of lead generation, I've done it. FISBOs have done it, expireds have done it. And I've gotten successes in all of them. And then I picked my niche and went all in that one. So lead generation, I would say, has been the biggest model for me and the economic model that I've been following.
So when you talk about doing partnerships or working with other businesses, like, can you talk about that? Like, how do you go about approaching them and actually what do they do for you and how does that work?
Right. So now it's more with working with our office partners, right?
Okay.
But before, when it was not like that.
Definitely tell me more about it if you're talking about our office partners.
What's that again?
I said definitely talk more about it if you're talking about our office partners.
Yes, so the title company, I would say, the attorney list. So all these great professionals that we have, I always highlight them in all my presentations. It just builds like a lot of trust in my clients. So the way I go about it is like absolutely I develop a lot of one-on-one relationships with all the vendors that we use from buying, selling, day one to the closing, right? So the touches that I ask all these partners to give to my clients that is helping them to build an experience. Partnering up with them, whether it's an open house, partner up with a mortgage lender,
I
or
like that. So it's more touches for you, gives you more leverage, more
absolutely.
reinforcement
No,
with
no,
the
no.
client.
Yeah,
That's
no.
smart. I like that.
Exactly what you
No,
guys
no.
do, the same thing we have to do it too for our business. It's exactly the same.
Makes sense. Awesome. So one of the things I want to ask you is, up till now, why not a team? Because you obviously have a big enough business where you could support a team. So that's like up till now, why have you decided, made the conscious choice not to start a team? Because frankly, I've seen lots of people start a team with 20% of the business you have. I'm not saying it went well. A lot of people, I think it's more common. It's probably 100 times more common to start a team too soon than, wait too long. The biggest mistake is people who go out and, bring on a buyer's agent when they don't have systems, when they don't have enough leads, and then it doesn't work out. So why did you choose not to do it so far? And would you ever get to the point where you think you might need to have a team yourself?
Yeah, so great question. I have been asking this question to me from many years now. And it's high time that I go build a team, and get all the leverage to just quadruple the business. So there are a couple of reasons behind that. Like this year and last year, I did take a step back from my business a little bit because I wanted to focus more on family. I said I'm very clear on what I want to do a certain year. So absolutely, last year and this year family was the more focus. Now I think it's all balanced and going well.
You know what? Can I interrupt you? Because I'm going to forget to ask. Like that, this kind of stuff fascinates me. So when you decide to take a step back for family, is it just by feel like I'm going to work a little bit less, or do you like say, I have to do these specific, and you don't have to share what they are, these specific things more. I need to be more present this many hours, so I'm going to work this many less hours, and I'm willing for my business to go down this much. Is it that scientific, or is it more like I'm just going to ease up a little bit and be home more, but it's kind of squishy?
So even with okay, so when I decided to step back a little bit, I did have a certain number. I'm gonna do at least, like last year it was like I'm gonna do at least like 15 million, no matter what.
So
But
many people would love to step back and do 15 million, or ever do 15 million. So it's amazing that that's a step back. So that's awesome.
so no, thank you. So and this year I'm gonna do at least 20 million. I'm gonna step back. Because I do have the bandwidth to go higher.
Yeah.
And I could have easily gone higher, but I said I just wanted to work only certain hours a day. My weekends were pretty because I do all my open houses myself. That's my biggest source of lead generation. I do tons of videos for my social media. That takes up a lot of time. But as I said, I do wanted to cut back on that and spend more time with family, my son. So it was more calculated as to how much minimum I want to do. And after that, whatever happens, happens. So I had that number in mind. So the hours in mind, weekends in mind that I don't want to work and still work certain minutes or hours just to make sure it's balanced. We all know there's no balance, but still I wanted to get some balance. But yeah, so those two, this year and last year is what my goal was. But now I feel that it's all like I can go back to my real achieving mindset. So next year is all going to be building team, getting people on
Oh,
board.
so you're making that decision to build a team?
I've already started that, yes. So I'm working already on building that. So for next year, you will definitely see that there will be a team.
Oh, very cool. You heard it
Because
here.
without that,
Uh,
I hit the ceiling. I've hit the ceiling for many years now. So I do want to break that and move on.
I like that we have some breaking news on the all hands that you're building a team. So one of the things I always want to ask in these sessions is, something tangible that, people take the time to be on here and listen to me drone on, and they want to at least come away with some nuggets that they can implement in their business. Although I think the mindset and the stuff is actually more impactful over time rather than the newest, trick or tip. But is there something that you do that you can tell? I would ask in two different levels. What's something a brand new agent could do that you're doing that they could, get off here, at 3 p.m. and go and implement in their business that would help them grow their business. And then same thing for a more seasoned agent. They're doing pretty well. They're a 3, 4, 5, 6, $7 million agent, and they want to get to the 10 or 20 million. What advice, like a specific thing? Is there a specific, lead generation thing that you do, or a specific way you handle open houses, or a specific way you follow up and ask for referrals? Like what's something they could write a note down and that would help them today?
So I think for newer and seasoned, I would have like same advice or same nugget for both.
Okay.
Because no matter where you are from day one, or year 7th or 8th in your career, I think this helps everyone, even me, which is marketing, right? And marketing means people should know what you're doing. You should be that source of trust and that source of knowing everything in real estate. Only then they're going to reach out to you. So I do a lot of, as I said, videos. I do a lot of social media. So that's something that you should be really doing, because we are in that generation. We are in that era where people do find you from that platform. So that's one big thing that you should be doing no matter what. You should be out there, confident, no matter how you look, doesn't matter. Like if I showed
That's the
you.
question I was going to ask you. Like, what do you say to the agent?
Yeah.
It's fine for you to do it. What about an agent that looks like me? Like what?
You should look at my first video. Now I look at my first video, it's horrible, and I would like never even look at that video, but I just had to do it to get that thing out of me. And then you just get comfortable from there. It doesn't matter what you look, how you
Like,
look.
I think people who are younger feel more natural with it, but somebody like me, somebody who's older, hasn't done videos, do you need to look perfect, or is it really just more about the content and anyone can do it?
It's all about the content, everything. It's never about how you look. It's never about how you talk. It's about, you just have to be true to yourself, be comfortable in your skin, and just go all in. And the right people will connect you. The right tribe will be attracted to you. And that's where you're going to get the business from.
So it's kind of merging two questions, because I did want to ask you about your social media strategy, but along the lines of the nugget, like what advice do you have for people either just getting started, social media, who maybe are not comfortable, any advice on doing the videos, what platform is best for generating leads, that, and then what do you do to generate the leads?
So I will give the answer in a form of an experience, so that people, when hear the experience and they'll see the numbers, they'll be surprised, and probably they will start doing it. As I said, I do a lot of videos. So I get a call from one of the internet leads, which I'm always rooting for. Like, I want internet leads because I want to know how much money I'm making out of that. So I got an internet lead from Weehawken. They wanted to move to my earlier town, which was Woodridge. I sold them a home of $900,000, made 2% on it.
Oh, wow.
And that person referred me to her boss, who bought a $1.3 million home. I got 2.5% on that one in the next year. The next year, that boss referred me to his boss, which got me into my biggest sale of the year, which was $2.8 million home, a condo in Hoboken, which was like 3% commission of almost $3 million.
Wow.
So that is all because of that one step I took, one decision I took, which is to get out of my uncomfortable zone and make a video. So this is like one story. Like, so when I'm uncomfortable, when I don't feel like I look good, I keep on reminding myself of all these stories, and that just pushes me to, do what I have to do.
I was just listening to a podcast earlier today, Ed Milet, and he had this guy, Jesse Itzler, on there. And it, made me think a lot of people, like, about people who don't want to do videos because they're afraid to look dumb. And, it's a great episode. Everybody should listen to it. But it was about, like, you only live once. We're all going to die. Like, who cares what other people think? Make the video. If somebody laughs at it, who cares? Nobody's going to be, and none of us are going to be around in 100 years. So why wouldn't you do, whether it's videos or starting a business or doing something, like, to not do something because you're worried about what you look like, or, how you do it is silly. But no one really is paying that much attention to you. They don't really care. You think a lot more about it, what they think of you than they think of you. Most people are not thinking of you at all. So just, get out of your comfort zone. And you've used that phrase, getting out of your comfort zone, a few times. So I think that's such great advice. Thank you for that. Anything else on social media? I think we have some questions in the chat. So maybe we'll go to those because we don't have that much time left. So Crystal, do you want to unmute and ask your question? It's always better hearing direct from the person. Otherwise, I can just read it if you prefer.
Hi, I'm sorry. Can you read for me, please? Thank you.
Did you want to share your question, or do you want me to just read it out?
Would you read for me, please?
Sure. So Crystal asked, what are your major lead generation sources, and do you have a system to run your business?
So the major lead generation source. So it is farming. I do a lot of mailers. So farming is one thing. And it's not just farming, like farming, physical mailers, doing consistent open houses in that area, and doing videos around that area. So it's a combination of all the things, because they need to see your face in person on social media, as well as at their doorstep. So that has worked well for me. And It's all about just duplicating those systems everywhere else. And sorry, what was the other part, Al?
It's a pretty broad one, so answer it however you think makes most sense. But it was, do you have a system to run your business?
Yeah. So as far as like system is concerned, as I said, it's all about when I need to know how many buyer side and a seller side transactions I'm going to do over a year, and then breaking it down to the number of appointments. The same thing what you guys have always taught us. A number of appointments needed, budgeting that amount to get that number of seller leads. And I know now by X seller leads, I'm going to get X buyers. So that's the system I follow, because I track it myself. Every lead is tracked, where they are coming from. So I know what percentage of leads is coming from where, and hence I focus on that particular lead generation system.
That makes sense. Yavuz had a question. Do you want to unmute and ask, Yavuz?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thank you. So my question was, when you were talking about how you kind of pulled your foot off the gas because you wanted to do other things in your personal life. Now that you're planning on moving forward and going back to where you were and going even further up ahead. Now, how would you, like, are you gonna just start aggressively like doing things? How do you plan on going back to where you were or beyond it? Like, are you gonna be aggressive about it, or are you gonna plan it out? Like, what exactly is the plan here?
Great
So
questions.
What's that?
The great questions today. I love it.
Yes, it is both. It is planning an aggressive approach for sure. Because I said I have in the first 4 years, I said I did like 40 million, then I did 30 million. So I know like how I reached those numbers. And so I'm just gonna go back all into my original systems. And definitely planning it in a way to achieve certain numbers, definitely getting aggressive on getting more leverage. So I think one of the biggest thing will be leverage. I will be needing a lot of people on my team to make sure that I'm not doing everything, because that way nobody succeeds. So getting the right people on my team will be the number one step to ensure that I'm gonna achieve certain numbers that I want to.
All right, next, Dawn had a question. It's a question actually I wanted to ask you, because I wonder if this is true. It seems like, although you say you follow everything we do, you've been super successful. And I almost feel like maybe you're doing it the opposite. We teach a lot, when you get big, build a team, and we teach a lot focused on sellers, but you've talked a lot about buyers. So Dawn, which leads into Dawn's question. Dawn, what was your question?
I was just curious what percentage you work with buyers as opposed to listings?
So I would say it's changed over the years, right? It has changed over the years. As I said, this year it has been 60% buyers, 40% sellers. But all my previous year, it's been 70% sellers and 30% buyers.
Okay.
Wait, say that one more time. What was the percentage?
So all these years from day one, it has been 70-30, so 70 sellers, 30 buyers. But then I found out that I was doing it wrong. It should be like 60-40. Then I focused, shifted my vision, and then it became 60-40. And now this year, it's actually 40% sellers and 60% buyers. I just had more referral buyers this year than sellers.
So you talked almost exclusively about buyers. So how are you getting the sellers? Are they coming? This is the answer I have in my head. I'm probably wrong. Are you getting the sellers from the buyers, like starting with the buyers and those buyers eventually became sellers, or how are you getting the sellers?
Remember I talked about the farming part? So that's
You're saying I wasn't paying attention. Okay.
So it's the farming part. So yes, so my focus is on the farming.
I asked all the questions you wanted me to ask and none of the hard ones, and then you do me like that at the end and call out that I didn't pay attention.
I can only see you on the screen. I don't see anybody else. It feels like I'm just talking to you, Al. I don't know how many people are there. Okay.
There are a lot of people, and they're all very, very excited to hear what you have to say.
So I have a question. So the topic of this meeting was supposed to be how to run a tremendous business like you have without a team.
Mhm.
But now we learn that, in fact, you've discovered that creating a team is where you think your direction is because you think it'll be easier. And my question is, juggling is always intriguing. And when you're juggling listings and buyers, especially if you're doing all the open houses yourself, it's very tricky to show the buyers in the other little portion of Saturdays and Sundays to make it happen and also be with your family. So
I can answer on that one, like what I've been doing. So again, as I said, even when like I've been solo agent from like 7 years now. So even when I'm doing all the open houses myself, I always take help from Don. So taken help from you. I've taken help from so many other agents where you've helped me. So Don has helped me a lot of my Jersey City showings, Hoboken showings. So I will always leverage that, At the same time, being a solo agent, I've realized that I'm spending so much time in the business, and now I feel that I don't want to spend so much time and do all the work. And again, I'm not good at all the jobs. Then I've realized over the years what particular part of real estate I'm good at, and I want to just give all my in that particular section. Whether you're a solo agent or not, as long as you know that this is what you want to achieve in terms of numbers and number of transaction, and you're able to do it, then it's good. Everybody's numbers are different. For me, next year, I do want to, because I've taken some breaks, right? So I do want to go back to an aggressive number because that's just, my goal is different for next year. And hence I've thought of creating a team. But all this while, I would say, whether you're solo or not, as long as you're able to manage everything, it should be fine.
So, Dawn, if your point in asking that question was that it was a bait and switch because she was the successful independent agent and now she's building a team, I just want you to know she broke that news right now. I didn't know that she was building a team. So,
no, I mean that's always.
I don't want you to feel like it was false advertising.
That's always a real dilemma: is how to get it all done. And
Yeah.
I know that I work with a lot of buyers, and you sort of get on the treadmill with them, and you forget you really have to spend some time working on listings, and You know, so it's just a catch 22. And when you're as successful as Ishita has been, it's like it's very hard to do the time management on the level of the volume that she's doing. So it's commendable for sure. but I do wonder if the direction of our business truly is just teams. You know, because it's hard.
Definitely not. There's definitely room for solo agents for sure. There are some agents who will never build a team who have big businesses. But great question. All right. Fossil has a question. I don't know if this is the right venue to say this, but I haven't told anybody this, I don't think. I just want to say what a great guy, something Fossil did that it was unbelievable to me. I had a relative pass away recently, and I was at the service and I saw him and I thought to myself, wow, I didn't know he knew my family member. So I went up to him and said, how did you know this family member? And he said, I don't. I just came here to support you. And I was just really touched my heart, just shows what an amazing guy he is. So hope you didn't mind me letting people know, because I know you have that, tough guy exterior. But heart of gold underneath. Fazil, do you want to ask your question if you're still on?
Sure, I can ask it. I paid you $20 to say that too.
No, really, it meant so much to me. I was like, wow.
No worries.
So nice of you.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. So my question to you is, you're saying that you're doing well with social media. So I was curious to understand, which platform do you see that you're getting the best results? And are you spending money to boost those results? Or no, it's just organic?
I never pay money to boost my results. Never. I've never gotten Zillow leads, nothing. So the success I get is on Instagram. A lot of time on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, and congratulations to all your success that you're saying you deserve it. You definitely work hard. And what I was also curious to know was your referrals. You're getting pretty good results with the referrals. So are you specifically doing something for the referrals? Because I overheard you when you just mentioned 10 seconds ago, you said that you were doing videos. So like, I'm not getting good results with asking for referrals. So I'm attempting to see, how are you getting better conversion? Is it because you're asking or using a specific script, or are you doing a video that's giving you more of those referrals?
So I never really ask for referrals at all. Never. They just, it's just very organically, they do recommend me people. And as I said, it's all about the connection that you make with the client throughout the process. I told you I'm very transparent upfront. I don't even give, I'm not even big on giving gifts too. So it's not that, that's something that they're excited about. It's just overall connecting with them that just has helped me to get more. And as I said, they see your profile everywhere. They see how good you're doing. They see what you're doing. So that just organically helps for more referrals and client conversions.
Got it. I'm probably gonna have to cheat off your affirmations, because they're working really well.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, if you would share them, because we always, after the call, we send out the video and any information. So if you would be willing to share, I'd love to share them with everybody after the call.
Yes.
And all right, I want to be respectful. We're already 7 minutes over. It looks like we have one more question, and it's interesting because it's a question about spam, and it looks like it's from somebody who might be spam, because their username is IPR3/1/22, wants to know, how do you filter spam from real estate leads? Are you on IP3/31/22?
Yes. Yes, it's me, Renee.
Oh, hi, Renee.
Hi, because I had to change my phone number last year, and I recently I started doing some posting, advertising, and then I got some emails and lots of phone calls, and I know this probably spam. So how do you know those email or calls, which one's actually the valid one?
I would say definitely if it's from like a prince or a princess in another foreign country and they want to give you $1 billion, that one is definitely spam, because I fell for that a couple times.
No, it's more domestic. I just now received another email saying some kind of veteran war, whatever, just saying something, you don't know how to tell. How do you?
Yeah, it's a good
I
question.
usually ignore. So there's one guy, he's from where? California. he came through and from the KW command, the referrals, leads. Anyway, I contact him, and he only want to talk to me through WhatsApp.
All the
And then-
WhatsApp ones are skip spam.
Yeah, those are probably spam. I figure out the spam because he said, I said, show me your proof of fund, right? And he sent me a some kind of bank statement with $20 million. I then I said, okay, bullshit. But other ones like emails and other things, you don't know. Are you gonna call every one of them that contact you?
I'm not getting, is that a question for me?
Yeah, if you get a lead,
You call the
emails
spam.
or whatever, you call them.
If I get a lead, I call them?
Yeah, you don't know if it's like
if
real
it
or
looks
not.
like it might be spam, if it's coming from like a weird place.
I mean, obviously I'll call them and you will know right away whether or not they're a lead or not. So yes,
you do
my
call them.
job is always to pick up the call, no matter which number it is.
Oh, really?
That's why I get more spams, because I always pick up spams.
I know. I got a lot of calls recently.
You don't always pick up my calls, so it's not all the calls.
Most of, can I just say, most of the spams don't want to speak to you. They either want to deal in text, email, or WhatsApp. And I've had proof of funds sent to me that way also. Those are all scams. If they don't talk to you, they're scams.
Yeah.
That's what I've found from California, from out of the country, from everywhere.
Deborah, you had your hand raised. Did you have a question? Or?
No, I just wanted to respond and say what I just said.
Okay.
About the spams.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up. Ishita, thank you so much. There's a ton of folks in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, thanking you, saying how helpful this was. And it was super helpful. So thank you for taking the time with us today. Thanks everyone for taking the time, and we'll wrap it up.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.